This is my little buddy Charlie. He kind of watches over the kind of watches over the things in the bookcase and protects them. This is another display here that I made, and this one actually was fashioned in an old book, out of an old book. The book itself was no more good, and so I took the pages out, but the cover was way too nice to throw away. And so what I did with this particular relic, and there's only one in here, is I put description here and here about the relic and where it was found, small map of where it was found. This is the actual relic or artifact, and it's a very, very unusual piece. It is mapped. It was probably intended first to be a knife, stone knife. It was worked nicely on both sides and along this edge. Some working on this edge, so it's broken a little bit here. Charlie, and the cool thing, Charlie the relic hunter. But another cool thing about this one is that it has a hole in the center. Now I think that was natural. I don't believe it was drilled, but this piece shows that it possibly was also used as a pendant or gorget. On this one I like too that you can see the circular striations here that shows that it was made out of Bayport Nodular Chert. But this was actually found by Jordan up by Alpena at the Devil River area, where there are a lot of unusual artifacts found there. And I do believe this one to be unusual because of the hole, because it was obviously a knife, but also because it was obviously used as a gorget to be worn around the neck. And again, if you have old books that you're going to throw out, that you don't know what to do with, this is a really neat way to store artifacts. Put them on your bookcase, take them out when you want to display them, or show them to other people. I'll show you some more in a minute. Here's another book display that I did. This again made in an old book that was, the pages were no more good. It was falling apart. I would never destroy a really good book to do this with. But in this one is another collection that was sent to me by Jordan and Jackie again up in Curran. And these are from the old Netton Creek site in Oscoda, Michigan. And they found a lot of chert flakes from the production of stone tools. But there were some nice, interesting relics in with those also. For example, here's a blunt-ended scraper. It would have been hafted, put on a handle here, and with this part protruding, and would have been, for scraping and cutting, perhaps in preparing deer hides for tanning or what have you. Down here we have a utilized chert flake. It has a curved, pointed notch on the end. They use these as graving spurs to mark into bone, pottery, various items. Then on this side is just a collection of chert flakes that were found by Jordan there in Oscoda. None of them were utilized, but they were all pieces taken off from a core when they were making arrowheads or spear points or what have you. And again, when you build a display like this, you can put your descriptive text and things in with it so that any pertinent information you have stays a part of the permanent record with the artifacts. Okay, I don't just use old books to display or to store the artifacts and fossils and things in. This, you can find lots of things to use. This is actually a small wooden case that held some children's books, and but I have adapted it so that it stores a very neat lepidodendron branch fossil, as you can see here. and then you can take it out, use it to display, and again to study. Up here along the edge, I put the arrows, and it's hard to see, but this is a lepidodendron branch section or root section. This back here is just fossilized mud, basically. This piece came from the near, but not in, the Shiawassee Nature Preserve here in Saginaw. And then what else you can do, because I like to put all the pertinent information with a piece that I can, on almost everything I put into these kind of displays, I will gather all the information on where I found it, what it is, what I know about it personally, along with information from different internet sources, and I keep them together. It makes a really preserve here in Saginaw. And then what else you can do, because I like to put all the pertinent information with a piece that I can, on almost everything I put into these kind of displays, I will gather all the information on where I found it, what it is, what I know about it personally, along with information from different internet sources, and I keep them together. It makes a really good and interesting display. So this again was a lepidodendron fossil that I found here in Saginaw, Michigan, housed in a case that's very easily, I don't know why I keep turning the camera that way, I'm sorry, housed in a case that Now here's another display that I did. This one is done in the cover of an old book. You can put your own label on it, design it yourself on the internet. But when you open the book display, what I really like about it is on the cover side inside you can put additional photos, illustrations that are pertinent to this piece. Over here I have information about this. This is again from a lepidodendron tree, and it is actually sections of the leaf that was on this particular kind of prehistoric tree that lived here in what would one day be Saginaw, but back when that lived, the continents hadn't shifted yet, and Saginaw was down by the equator. And you know what? When I got up this morning, it was, with the wind chill, 15 degrees below. So I wish we were still down by the equator right now. Now this display was built into an old 78 RPM record case, and you can get these very cheaply at many thrift stores. But as you open this one, the pieces that are in here were sent to me by Jordan and Jackie Lubin from Curran, Michigan, and these are pieces of late woodland Indian pottery from the Oscoda, Michigan area, at actually the old Vanetton Creek site, which if you have watched very many of my videos, you've heard me talk about this a lot. But here we have a really nice rim shard with impressed decoration across the upper lip. These pieces, you can see where it was marked with the cord wrap paddle during its production, and it also shows carbonization from when it was used around the ancient hearths or campfires. Unique little piece here that actually had cord impressed into it also. But you can display your items really neatly like this. And again, now for the information on this piece, I actually had published back in the early 1990s and marketed a booklet about the site these came from. So it seemed like a good place to put the booklet was in with these particular artifacts. So there were several different editions of it, but they're all housed together with the actual artifacts from this site in a nice little display that can be tucked away until it's needed. Now, as a writer, I love to tell stories, and I found one thing that I really enjoy, and it's a different way of telling a story, is building these shadow box books. Again, you take a nice old book that is no more good, empty out the pages, build into it a box, and this one, when you open it, this is called the Star of Hope, and in here is a three-dimensional scene of a Native American Indian boy and seeing the star announcing the birth of the Lord Jesus Christ. And on this side, in a plastic sleeve, is an actual story that I wrote to go with the scene, also called The Star of Hope. And this was one of my more popular YouTube videos at Christmas time. So if you wanna see some better images of it, and you want to see and hear the story, go to my YouTube video. the Star of Hope. And this also goes in my Bookcase Museum collection. One of my favorite holidays is Halloween, and so this is another shadow box book that I did, and on the front cover of it in a plastic sleeve is a booklet that I reproduced a number of years ago and marketed myself, and it's called A Halloween Adventure. But as you open this up, inside is this really wonderful and eerie and creepy 3D scene that I built for Halloween using two awesome little pumpkin gourd salt shakers from the 1930s that were made in Japan, and all kinds of eerie and mystical things going on in there. And then attached to it also is a special audio CD with a 2-part radio program that I did, which is also here on YouTube. The Time Hoppers in now I forget the name of it, Alien Adventure, but I'll put a link to that in the description so you can check it out if you want to. Now in this shadow box book, I didn't paint the cover as I usually do on these. I did put my own label on the book, and this one celebrates history in Bridgeport, Michigan, which was some of the first writing I did back in the late 1960s was about the history of Bridgeport. But this shows the old Kraus Saloon building, which used to be on the corner of State Street and the Dixie Highway, where the Rite Aid now stands. Rite Aid, in their infinite wisdom, destroyed this wonderful old building which had such beautiful and significant history to it, and put up one of their very stylish Rite Aid pharmacies. But this is a 3D scene. I made the building myself, and the figures in here are actually out of a circa 1890s children's book. And then on the other side, put a little bit of a brief history about the Kraus Saloon building, and an DVD, DVD with my history of Bridgeport, which also is a YouTube video called Mike Morrison's History of Bridgeport, if you want to check that out. These are awesome and fun to make because you can change the decorations in your apartment or house anytime you want to. You just put one away, take out another one, set it out where people can see it, where you can enjoy it, and then when you want to change it, go to your Bookcase Museum and pick out something else for the week. So let's take a little bit of close-up. Maybe if you've looked at very many of my videos, you've seen some of my Time Hopper stories. This whole section, there is over 100 Time Hopper stories here. I haven't put very many of them on YouTube yet, but there will be more put on. And then all of my personal writings, my artifact displays, such as they are right now. I do have a lot of stuff setting out too, so they're not all in here, but eventually I have hundreds of pieces that I want to build into these bookcase displays so that I can be able to keep them organized and not not lose them and the information which is pertinent to them. So if you're in limited space, something you might want to consider is building your own bookcase museum. It's easy, it's fun, and it's a really cool way to display your collectibles. Thanks for taking a look.